can check the program and look at the sustainer program. It's a movie theater that was one of the community churches. Now there's a European man that owns a store that he has right next to it. He has the building boarded up. And I know he's just waiting for the rest of the development to come to downtown Trenton to where he can reap some benefit. But I think we're going to get to him before he's able to get to that, if we work hard and we work at it. Secondly, you also will be getting in your mail a subscription card to the Key, which is the magazine of African Echoes. Again, I urge everyone here to get a subscription to the Key that can help African Echoes do the work that they're doing. On June 14th, we will be running the bus to East Orange. Rosacos will be there, and those people associated with Rosacos will be there, Brother Earl, to again support them in what they're doing, and they are supporting us. So those are the only few comments that I'd like to make before I bring on Dr. Barashango. But again, I'd like to thank you for a total of $50.85 this afternoon. Hey, Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango is a dynamic speaker and teacher who sets forth African-centered factual information in an interesting, illuminating, and exciting manner. As a minister, historian, educator, author, and motivational speaker, Dr. Barashango skillfully combines the lessons of African people's glorious history with the realities of today's world and demonstrates through dynamic presentations how to use this knowledge to enhance our present quality of life. Dr. Barashango presents lectures, workshops, and seminars in 4 main areas. That's religion, history, education, and self-motivation. Tonight, he will engage the topic, come on, y'all, let's talk with this Jesus thing. He will also participate in question and answer and a book signing. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring you the Reverend Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango.
Peace be with you, my beloved brothers and sisters. May the grace, protection, and goodness of the Creator, revealed to all and known by many names, abide with you, your loved ones, your friends, and those whom you care about. I want to give all honor and praise to the Creator, revealed to all and known by many names, that gives us the power to be and to be here. And I want to give honor and praise to our positive African ancestors, for they created us, they came before us, they certainly paid a heavy price for us to be here today. And there are so many of them, we cannot name them in a setting like this. We would be going on for some time. I especially want to acknowledge those who put their life on the line or gave their lives for the liberation of African people. And this has been going on for many centuries now. That's the most precious blood that has ever been shed. Those people who gave up their own safety and well-being for the good of the whole. And so in their honor, I say in the words of the last poets, those of you who know this and heard me say it before, welcome to say it with me. And that is, blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It is better to live and die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. So it is in their honor that we present those words this evening. I want to thank Razak Books, Brother Jay and Brother Tim for this forum and for making this opportunity available to share with you this evening. And I want to compliment them on how they keep on keeping on. Some of you may know, but some of you may not know what it takes even to pull together a forum like this, and the expense of doing it, and they carry the brunt of that. So your support for them is very, very necessary in order for us to keep going. I remember one independent black institution, people for various reasons began to fall off and didn't show up and weren't consistent in their support. And then one day a whole bunch of people came and the doors were closed. The building had been sold from under them. And then they said, well, what happened? And all we could say was, we told you if you didn't support it, it wouldn't be here. It's not automatically going to be here. You are the one who makes it happen. So I hope you will continue to. I'm glad you're supporting it, and I hope you will continue to. One other thing before I get into the message this evening, and that is I always have to do what is called a black nationalist commercial, being that's what I am, a black nationalist freedom fighter. If people be trying to define me, what religion is you? What is this? Well, I don't belong to any particular religion. I don't belong to any institutionalized religious base. I'm a spiritual man. I belong to the Creator, and to my people, and to my ancestors. But I'm at home with Buddhists, I'm at home with the Muslims, I'm at home with Christians, I'm at home with Muslims, wherever African people are seeking to find a pathway of discipline to the Creator, I'm with that, and confined by none of them. I see good in all of them, and I see bad and contradiction in all of them. We'll deal with that a little later as I go on. But in order for us to carry on the work and the research that we have to do, and our research has to be impeccable. African-centered warrior scholars' research has to be impeccable, and we want it to be that way. When we enter upon it, we want to make sure that we can prove what we say without a doubt, and we welcome any debate on the issue, any logical debate, not an emotional one, any logical debate, because I don't argue beliefs. You can't argue beliefs. That's personal. There's nothing you can apply it to that's concrete. You know, there's no hard evidence, as Dr. Van Sertima says, that you can link it up with. So I don't argue that. I leave that alone. I just hope it works for you, and hope you got sense enough to see if it's not working for you to move on to something else. Ask the Creator to lead you somewhere else. And not keep telling yourself it's working if it's not working. But that's between you and your Creator. It's a very personal thing. So don't get all up into that. However, in order for us to carry on this work and the time that is involved, the prodigious amount of hours and effort to search down that which they have buried for the last 500 years, which seems to be exploding all over the place. And it's exploding all over the place because our warrior scholars are fighting hard and digging deep. Every time I think I know this, I got the information, they dig up something else. And it's just a fascinating area. I'm glad I left theology and went into history. Theology is so nebulous. You can't really do much with that, particularly if you lead a denomination you were in. But history is something, as Brother Malcolm said, of all our studies, it rewards all research. And it certainly does. It's provable. It's something that you can put your hands on and relate to something. So in order to do that, it's an expensive process, because while you're doing that, that means household expenses and everything else to go. And I'm one of those folk with a one-track mind. When I'm writing, I can't seem to do anything else but that. And so it leaves other things lacking, and family members and so forth have suffered. So one of the ways that we keep going, I don't want to keep beating that dead horse there, is through that which we create, you consume it. But that which we create, you purchase. That is, you invest in what we do. And today, the Razak Books has my books there, and I got my special signing pen, y'all. Special signing pen. It's been prayed over by Buddhists, by African-centered Muslim imam, by an African-centered Christian female minister, and which gave it extra power. And it's been prayed over by Hebrew Israelite and a Khan priestess and a Yoruba. Then I went in the woods by the running water with the birds and the squirrels and the trees. And then one of them moaning way down yonder by myself, couldn't hear nobody pray prayer. So it's a powerful pen, and it's ready to sign your books and your tapes. Much of what I'm going to discuss tonight, I can't go into detail because you're not going to sit here that long. They have us so conditioned that if we can't tell it to you in an hour or so, and 2 hours, because many series run 2 hours and then you have to get the rest of it, see. And we're so conditioned to that. Now, in the motherland, and you go other places, you go to the Caribbean, the folks will sit there and listen to you all day long, as long as you give them something to listen to. But us, after a certain while, we can kind of, I got to go. I won't miss this game or something. I know what they did to us. They got us all nervous and everything. They worked on the nervous system. And we can't sit still. And it's too much for my brain and butts in my mind. No, it's not. lifetime. Any of us. So you can have it. And you say, well, I get sleepy. Then go sleep. Then that doesn't offend me because you're going to get more sleep than y'all awake. So see, your subconscious mind will pick it up and it's not going to fight it. See, your conscious mind is going to fight it based on the fallacies you've been taught before. So you got a struggle going on, see? But when you sleep, you ain't got no struggle going on. It just go right on. So I'm inviting you to come to the table. I'm signing tapes, I'm signing books, I'm signing everything with a blank check tonight. And I certainly would like to be able to take care of some things when I get home. So please bless the table and you will be blessed. What you invest or spend with us, I do sincerely pray that it will multiply for you 1,000 times. And I've had people tell me, you know, that was my last money I spent on that table. Lord have mercy, I hit the number next week. Well, I wasn't trying to sell that idea, but however it comes. Brothers and sisters, the topic I'm about to enter upon is a very touchy one. And then something struck me. I didn't realize it until I was sitting there a few minutes ago and y'all kept talking. I am in a church structure, in a somewhat nominal Christian institution. And I said, now, Lord, what am I going to do? I don't want to offend anybody to the degree that will cause these brothers a place to hold their farm. But I'm going to say you cannot hold them responsible for what I say today. This has nothing to do, right now I'm going to do a disclaimer for them. I take full responsibility of everything I say. Who takes responsibility for this? They didn't know exactly what I was going to say when I came here today. So don't hold it against them. I hope you don't hold it against me. I hope that you receive what I share with you in love, because I'm giving it in love, and I'm giving it because now is the time. Yes, sir. Now is the time. We cannot go into the 21st century with the same antiquated, dark ages ideas that came from a plantation theology. We cannot do it. As a matter of fact, just look around you. It doesn't work. If it did all it said it could do, and I've been through the whole thing. I have my degrees in theology. I've been through the whole thing. But I had to face reality. When I come outside and look at the situation our people is in, the belief system that the largest majority of us embrace does not work. Because if it did, our condition would not be what it is. And I'm talking to Muslims too. I'm talking to everybody here. Ain't nobody gonna like me when I leave. But then, the only one I've got to make a report is the Creator. That's all I got. I ain't want to do this. I said, Lord, what did I do to you? For you to have me do this. I don't want to be bothered with these people in their sacred cows. I don't want to mess with this. But it's either you do it, and he threw me in jail one time. Something I didn't do. And wouldn't let me out until I decided, okay, I'll do it. That's what it was like. So I'm just giving you some background on how this is coming. Now, brothers and sisters, I want you to open your mind. You don't have to agree with me. In fact, I'm going to open the floor for question and answer, and you can disagree with me. I'm saying do it logically now. Try to convert me to your belief system. You can't do that. I have studied them all. I've been through them all. So don't try to do that. Don't do that. But if you've got a qualified point, go ahead. And if you can show me something different, I'll go with it. I'll go with it. I don't know everything, and I know I don't know everything. I've been researching and studying for almost 40 years, and I know I don't know everything. Still like I don't know nothing. So I'm trying to lay the groundwork now so my good Christian folk don't have an unchristian-like attitude toward me when this is over. Or walk out saying, the devil is in. And one thing I want you to remember, the Creator gave you all those brain cells because he wanted you to use them. Faith has its place because there's a point beyond which humans can go in their understanding and logic, and that's when you have to completely rely on faith. But as long as it's within the realm of something that your mind can analyze and decipher and can in a discretionary way deal with, then you're obligated to use your brain to do it. And here's another thing. Y'all bear with me. The Lord will not strike you with lightning if you question. You can question the Creator. You can question the Creator. What I say? Now, they've told you all your life, you can't question God. And I've always, even as a child, I couldn't figure that out. You tell me that the Creator knows everything. If I want to know something, and this sister got the information, where do I go? Now, she said, you can't question me. She got problems. She got ego problems. So she got the information. She's supposed to share it with me. That's a human thing. What these preachers and religious leaders are saying, you can't question me. Because the ego, and I don't like the word God, because it is indeed the word dog spelled backwards. I hope you question me on that. I'll go into the history of that. But when I go, the Creator doesn't have those kind of ego problems. Only human beings have ego problems like that when you can't question them. The Creator knows everything and wants His children to know. And that's where you go to. And then, and you shed a lot of blood on this one. In defense of the faith. I'm defending God. I'm standing for God. What? You fool. Have you looked in the mirror lately? You're talking about the force that created all of the stars and all of the everything in the billions of galaxies in the universe, and you're going to defend it? You bad. I'm scared of you. Again, we're talking about human ego. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about tonight came about as a result of human ego. It might hit to the heart and center of what you have been conditioned to believe. I say what? Conditioned to believe. And I want you to be able in your mind to not be afraid to at least question it. And not get angry with me for bringing it to the fore, because I ain't cutting no slack. The Lord told me don't cut no slack. Winked on our ignorance in the past. There's no reason for it today. But this is the way I was brought up. This is the way I growed up. This is all I ever do. That's what folks said when they came up with the light bulb. We don't need that. Always. That's what I grew up with, a candle. And now you can't get y'all to go back to candlelight, can you? You hurry up when they send you that notice. Say, if you don't have this bill, hey, you got be in long lines all out the street. So we're going from the candlelight to the incandescent bulb. Y'all with me? I had to lay some groundwork up in here. All right? And I want you to know I love you. And I need your love. I want you to understand that. And I hope you ain't in no hurry. Y'all got to talk. Because I ain't got time to watch. But I want you to hang with me. I want you to come on with me now. And let me stop. I'm going to start out with the Bible. Maybe that's I better read some Bible, what y'all call it, the Word. Okay, let me read the Word up in here tonight. We're going to deal with which word it is in a minute, but let's deal with the Word, all right? Give me some legitimacy. I'm coming out my reverend bag now. Revelation's the first chapter, the 13th to the 15th verse. We're going to read it, and then later on we're going to do an exegesis on it. That is, we're going to break it down. We're going to make it plain. That's all that is. We're going to do an African-centered exegesis on it. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Now we're going to get into that text, step by step, word by word, but first we have to do a couple of other things. We'll use that text as a basis for our topic tonight. Come on, y'all, let's deal with this Jesus thing. It really is ludicrous that a black man playing the role ancestors, out of his own history, has his life threatened. Now, I know you're not used to thinking of it that way. But he's playing one of his own ancestors. Jesus was a black man in a land of black people. We will prove that historically, and we'll prove it from the Bible. And I hear it in your mouth. Well, what difference do it make? Well, you got pictures of it. It's true. That's what the difference is. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The word truth comes from the Greek as used in the New Testament, the coin or common Greek, alethea, which means according to the facts. That's what makes a difference. A white Jesus hanging up anywhere is a lie. That's what the reality is. And more than that, it's the damage it does to the psyche of our children and to our own psyche. So don't be telling me nothing about what difference do it make. You don't say that when you got that blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy hanging up there. You don't say that. You don't question it. Why is the question when a black man goes, what is the problem? Ask yourself, why am I having a problem with this? There's some places in the continent, they tell me in Ghana particularly, when black people, Africans, indigenous Africans on their way to church, if they run into a white person, they don't have to go to church that day because they've had an audience with a representative of God. That's how deep this thing is. You all know who I'm talking about, Brother Desi Arnaz Gal. I guess you know every place, the theater and everything. Usually when I go to other cities after that, nobody's received death threats for just praying who he was. Right. And that's when it's dawned on me. I usually get into this a little more academically and everything, but I just wanted to get right down playing with it and just deal with this Jesus thing. Because it needs to be dealt with. I'm going to cover a few points, and as soon as I can, I want to open the floor because I want to hear what you have on your mind. I want to hear from you on it. Now, don't question me about spaceships and what somebody did out in California. I don't care about all that. Please stick with the topic we're talking about tonight. Please. I don't know everything, so don't ask me about everything. But I do know this. Please, people don't like for you to say that either. They get upset when they find out that you don't know everything. I don't. I don't know anyone who does. You all right? Let's start with a historical statement now as we deal with this Jesus thing. I started out with the Bible, and we're going to come back to that to give me some qualification, some legitimacy. And to give me some more legitimacy, I'm going to a white scholar, a white theologian. Not that I need it, but somebody in here might need it. And his name is Dr. S.G.F. Brandon at Manchester University in England, which I had one time lectured at one time. He's lecturing there in another few weeks. And he's bringing up an issue that black preachers and black theologians are scared to death to deal with. They won't question certain things. They're afraid of it. Now, some Masons will know a lot. A lot of preachers of Masons know a lot more than what they tell. But they would not ever bring that to their congregation. They don't tell, they won't do that. They're afraid to even debate this issue. White people debate this issue in white theological institutions all the time. And this is what he says in his book, Jesus and the Zealot, the very first page and the very first chapter, the very first paragraph. This is what he says. Ironic, though it be, the most certain thing known about Jesus of Nazareth is that he was crucified by the Romans as a rebel against their government in Judea. Now let's take that word by word. Ironic. He said it's ironic. Because people talk about this thing as though you can prove it. Everything else that they say about Jesus and belief in Christianity, people speak about it with such confidence. He said, but you can't prove any of that. The only thing we know for certain that is provable, that there's a document for outside of the New Testament. I'm going to deal with the New Testament in a minute, but I don't. You bring me back to it. Because God had nothing to do with the writing of the New Testament. I'll tell you that right now. It's the work of men. And I will prove it to you. One reason why I know that is because God has no contradiction. The Creator cannot lie. And the New Testament is full of contradictions. And I will show you what those contradictions are. Now, and don't get angry. You must remember, you were first introduced to these documents, the book called the Holy Bible, written in the year 1611 by King James, the faggot, bisexual, pedophile King James in 1611, who were in the process of enslaving you and the rest of the world. This is the work of man. Now, the principles in there came from God. You can find them in all the holy books in the world. But when they got finished with it, it was not the Word of God. Because they couldn't have the contradictions it has in it. You know, people get, my Bible. I don't care what you say, it's in my Bible. Is it in the Bible? I don't want nobody, but it ain't in the Bible. This what's in there was decided by a group of degenerate, underdeveloped white males. White female wasn't even in it. Didn't even understand half of what they were translating. Not even a tenth of what they were translating, and boxed it up so bad. All right, I know you're not going to like this, but let me go on. He said, but the only thing we know, this is a white theologian standing before white preachers that he's teaching in the university and saying to them, let's get on down with it. The only thing we know is that Jesus was crucified as a rebel. That's all we know. We don't know not now. Donovan Joyce says in the book, The Jesus Scroll, they found the tomb empty and theology moved into the tomb rent-free from that day on. All they know is they found the tomb empty. That's all. That's all they can verify. We went to the tomb, the body wasn't there. That's all. Everything else, 400 years they decided to write down. Not at the time it happened. I'm giving you some historical background. Don't get upset. Oh, okay, let me settle this too before I go on. I'm trying to feel what you're feeling. Because many times, there's a lot of pain in this, I know. And you say, well, if I don't believe in this, what am I going to believe in? Believe in the power of the Creator in you. See, you don't have to believe in a lie to believe in the Creator. You don't have to continue to believe in a legend and a myth and a fantasy to believe in your Creator. As a matter of fact, you are not in connection with your Creator the way you were before white people came and brought you there, a boxed up idea about God. You walk with the Creator night and day, communicate with the Creator night and day. Didn't nobody have to teach you that. You had that knowledge from your mama's womb. You came in the world with that. You went to bed with it. You woke up in the morning with it. You saw the Creator in every blade of grass, in every drop of water, in every leaf on every tree, every animal that ran out on the plain. You saw the Creator in every star in the sky. Then somebody came along and said, it ain't like that. That's paganism. This is the way it is, and gave you a sissy God. We'll deal with that in a minute. They fight like hell and draw blood in the name of that sissy God. But they give it to you to effeminize you. Y'all still with me? But now I got to correct Mr. Brandon. Mr. Brandon is incomplete in his information. But then I expect that from white folks. Because that's the way they taught me. Everything they taught me was incomplete. I always had to go somewhere else to get some more information. That ain't fair. Oh, you're being so negative. You're being racist. I'm talking reality. That's how they teach. And also, you got to remember that this was first taught to you on the plantation. Nobody who has a people in captive ever teaches their captives anything that will free them. Nobody. So automatically, the idea about Jesus, about the Bible, and about God was taught to you in a context that could only serve the people who had you in bondage. And you perpetuate that in your churches even unto this day. Well, my mama did and my grandmother, and they carried them through. That's all they do. And the Lord had mercy on them. But this is a different day. You can't walk around in that same ignorance. You're going to have to come to grips with this thing. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But those of us who have the information have to put it out there. And you wonder, the children, the youth are leaving the church. It doesn't make sense to them anymore. They'll ask you a question and you You cannot question God. Let me take you to the pastor. And they'll put some questions on the pastor that'll boggle his mind up. And he'll sit back. Well, you see, we have to deal with the apathy of the article of faith. It's an article of faith. No, I can't explain it, but we just have to accept it by faith. Brother pastor, accepting something by faith doesn't mean that we have to be stupid and not use our brain. It doesn't mean that. So just admit you don't know what the hell you're talking about. We can't do that. You lose this job. A lot of these cats don't know how to do nothing else nowhere. They learn a few Bible texts and y'all say they heavy in the word. They ain't never read the Bible through, because if they read it from cover to cover, they wouldn't be coming out that way. I had to read it from cover to cover 6 times, 4 times while I was in college, going on my BA, and 2 times while I was working on my master's in theology, and I was at least read it another time, at least 7 times from cover to cover. And if you can believe it for face value after reading it from cover to cover, then you need psychological treatment. You do. Yeah, if you take belief, because it ain't got nothing to do with logic. And even St. Augustine, one of the founders, I'm running a little here myself. Y'all help me. I'm more organized on the tape, so I got to lay down on the tape. St. Augustine said, if you believe, that the first church was the African church. You may want to question me on that, before the Roman Empire took it over. And he said, if you believe the things in the book of Genesis and take them literal, you are putting on God those things that are not worthy of his divine character. You got an egomaniac in Genesis. You got a psychotic in Genesis that even repents. Only one who sins repents. Can God sin? But yet he repents, having made man, and going to drown them all. Put a tree in the garden and blame the people for eating off the tree. It was a setup. But I hope you will ask me about it. I'm going to deal with that Eve bringing sin into the world story tonight. If I forget, you bring me. I know it's going a lot out there for you. I'm going to try to cover it. But Mr. Brandon left out something. All right, it's a fact. Jesus was crucified as a rebel against the Roman Empire. The Romans did not care about a new religion. They couldn't have cared less. They had more as many religions in the Roman Empire as you have in the United States of America today. So it didn't matter to them. And they certainly wouldn't have crucified a man for teaching everybody to turn the other cheek. That's what he did. Hey, this nigga's good for us. You keep the rest of them chilled out. No! They were pretty organized. They weren't as brilliant as the Greeks, and the Greeks were not as brilliant as the Africans who taught them, but they were good organized. They figured out a good thing when they saw it. They crucified him for rebelling against the Roman Empire, and that's what it says in the Bible. He stirred up the people, which is the same as what? Inciting to riot. When Pilate questioned him, he didn't ask him about, well, what's your idea about God? What's your idea about religion? What's your idea about that? Are you the king of the Jews? That's all I want to know. Because ain't nobody going to be king down here unless the Romans say they're going to be. And what Jesus said, you said it. You said it. And then that was it, huh? Yeah, y'all said that. He said, well, if you're the king, why are you standing here like this? And then he supposed that my kingdom was not of this world and all that. But they had just marched him in there on the way into Jerusalem the week before with palm branches and everything, saying, Hosanna to the king, long live the son of David, which was the title of the king. Read the thing in all 4 gospels. Don't let somebody read the Bible to you. Read it for yourself. You go to church, can't stand up, read you a couple of texts, dance and sing for 2 hours. You don't read it. Somebody read it to you like a bedtime story. We'll deal with that some more as we go on. If I don't, help me. I got it all on that tape. Black revolutionary called Jesus. I'm trying to cover a lot in here tonight, y'all. And I'm trying to give it to you as you need it. And I'm also trying to deal with a lot of these mental problems we have with this. I know I went through the struggle myself. I understand that. But I'm glad to be free to serve the Creator. I serve the Creator. Have contact with the Creator. Not somebody's idea about how I should do it. Tacitus says. That's what the records of Antonia said and other Greco-Latin writers of that time says about the issue. But he left out one thing. And I'm glad we had Brother Joel A. Rogers to put that thing in there for us. Joel A. Rogers says in Section Race, Volume 1, page 265, says this. The earliest gods and messiahs on all the continents. On what? All the continents were black. Research has yielded an impressive amount of material on the subject. It will be seen, too, that the messiahs, some of whom lived many centuries before Christ. How many? Many centuries. Let me stop and deal with this just a second here. I know I'm extrapolating a lot of stuff here. But I have arrogant Christians, you some arrogant Muslims too. Because I'm telling all of y'all not serving the Creator. You're on an ego trip when you try to make everybody follow the path. You're on an ego trip. You're on an ego trip. And you're insecure about what you believe in. If you can't do it by yourself, you got to pull it in. You got to put what we call proselytize. Everybody enjoy it so you feel good. You know, you feel strong in it. Yeah, I'm in the right thing, but we got to pay membership. But with the Creator, it's not like that. It's not like that. And I've had arrogant Christians walk up to me and say to me, do you believe in Jesus? And I just simply ask the question, which one? There's a little silence for a moment, and then they regroup. The one that was crucified on the cross! Which one? Why? Which one? There were at least 16 different saviors crucified in the history of the world. Same story being told at different times, different places. And there were at least 12 different men named Jesus. And they weren't named Jesus because Jesus is a Greco-Latin name. His name was Yeshua, which is a Hebrew name, which is what he was. He was a Hebrew, was he not? Yeah. Was he born in the tribe of Judah? Was he born among Hebrews and mama and daddy was? He was a Hebrew. Yeshua, meaning liberator. The Lord will deliver us. Every other young boy born at that time was named Jesus because the people were trying to get delivered from the Roman Empire. You know the history of what was going on there. Just like in our times, in antebellum slavery, they would come to the firstborn male child and parted the womb and say, is you the one? Looking for a deliverer, the same kind of thing. So they regroup. The Jesus of the Bible! Again, I have to ask the question. Which one? The word Bible, something is the Holy Bible. Looking coming forth by day by night. Everybody says that their sacred history is holy. Holy just simply means set apart from everything else. Sacred means to set apart from. Everyone's history is sacred to them. All people's history is sacred. And the Bible's a history book, read it. One of the most violent ones there is. So much rape and violence. And that tape I have, African warriors, great African warriors in the Bible. They telling you to turn the other cheek. They was cutting David, they didn't no other cheek. They was chopping heads. He didn't go to Goliath and say, hey brother, let's try some blood. He didn't say we shall overcome. He brought his blood down. And I dealt with it. And when he wanted to marry Saul's daughter Michal, he went out and got 50 foreskins, all the Philistines, with a bloody mess in the sack and put it on the table before he could get that woman. You don't like this? I don't know what Bible is to read. I don't know how you won't get past all of that. The very act of the crucifixion itself, God was so bloodthirsty that he had to have his own son killed. That's, what's the logic in it? But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Oh, Lord, I'm stunned somebody. Okay. Let me go on. And then when they do with the witch Bible, then I have to go to the Bible and I say, I go and I get it because I keep one with me. I learned to do that. Say, this one? Yeah, that one. The Word of God. Then I open the card that talks about the authorization of King James and all that. I said, that's in the year 611. This one? Yeah, that one. I said, well,
who has the little body? King James or the Lord? Which one? Boy, they be hot. And all that Christian love go out the window. And I become an agent of the devil by simply asking some logical questions. Right. Which one? Okay, let me get back into this now, all right? So, this story is somebody dying on the cross to save the world is not new. Any more than the virgin birth is new. That story has been around a long time, all right? And they have scientific meanings. They have esoteric meanings that are not to be taken literal. Only fools in the 20th century who think they're so much intelligent that everybody else take this stuff literally. It shocks me how people can do that. And the story in Genesis of how a man took a boat that wasn't a block long and put 2 of every kind of animal in the world on it in one text, and in the other text it said 7 of each one on a boat that kept them. And you said, it rains 40 days and 40 nights. You got to say, large rain 40 days and 40 nights. You don't read it, the thing, water stays on the earth for over a year. You up in there with them animals on a boat that ain't a block long. There's only 8 people on the boat. And the food and everything to eat has. No wonder Noah got drunk when he got out back there. But that story came from an older story out of Babylon to illustrate a principle, but you take that literally. You believe that. Okay, you still with me? Yeah. He said, it will be seen too that the Messiah, some of whom lived many centuries before Christ, have lives which so closely parallel that of Christ that it seems most likely that the story of the latter was adapted from them. Moreover, the word Christ comes from the Indian word Krishna, which means the black one. His name is not Jesus Christ. His name was Yeshua ben Joseph. If you can't accept that, Yeshua ben Mary. But history points out that it was Ben Mariam and Ben Joseph, or Ben Yosef. Christ means anointed one. It's a Greek word, anointed one. And what was anointed in Israel? The kings and the high priests. And it is also related to the word Krishna, which means the black one, because the anointed ones were to be kissed of the sun. And the kings that were to come through to the Hebrews were the kings from the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah, if you'll study the history, even in the Old Testament of Judah, and the tribes they intermingled and married with, was navy, blue, black. Of all of the 12 tribes of Israel, they were the darkest. And they ranged from, like us today, chalk to charcoal, having been invaded so often. Started out very dark, and then they got mixed up. The tribe of Judah, because it continued to mingle with mostly dark women, dark people, maintained its darkness, and it produced the king. So the very word itself means black. So I have to say, Mr. Brandon, you left out something. He was not only crucified as a rebel against the Roman Empire, he was crucified as a black rebel against the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire being a white supremacist nation. You still there? Now, I'm going to come back to the text. All right, let me deal with the text now. And then I'm going to go to Dr. Welsing. Let's get to the text. It says, now in the midst of the candlestick, what's happening here? The book of Revelations is reputed to have been written by the Apostle John. First of all, I want you to keep in mind, all of these books in the New Testament were written several hundred years after the fact. There's not one that you can find that can be dated earlier than 200 years after the fact. Now I want you to keep that in mind. You think that while Jesus was here and the apostles were here, God said right that they were right. It didn't happen like that. People wrote these books later and put their names on them. That's how it happened. That's why there's so many contradictions. I'm sure there's got so many contradictions. Now keep this in mind. Matthew did not write the Gospel of Matthew. His name is on it, but he couldn't have written it 200 years later because he wasn't alive. Mark did not write, which was the first Gospel to be published. Did because there was no New Testament. I said, what? No New Testament until 140 of the common era, the era we live in. 140. Jesus was assassinated in about 33 or 36 of the era. Over a century after the fact, somebody comes out with what is called a New Testament. There is nothing around but the Old Testament. Jesus didn't read out of no New Testament. He read out of the scrolls of the Old Testament. He knows nothing about no New Testament. He didn't write a word in no New Testament. A faggot named John Marcion, who was a wealthy shipbuilder, decided that the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh, the self-sufficient, was too violent. He wanted an feminine God. Sweet. Couldn't deal with a war God. So he took the 13 letters of Paul. What? Since when do letters become sacred scripture? Those are letters. I'll write you a letter. And 200 years later, somebody said, oh, this is so inspiring. It's sacred. It's the word of God. Some of my ideas, because when I write to my baby, I write some stuff. I just buy it, I tell you that much. That's poetic. The bird moves. It's only the black woman can move, man. But these are letters. They call the epistle to the Thessalonians, the epistle to the Corinthians. It's a letter. What does a letter become the word of God? Ask yourself that. And preachers like Paul, because he was the one that said, slave, obey your master. Over a dozen things in his writings, in his letters, tell us he ain't sent one slave back to his master. The epistle of Philemon, he's sending the slave back to his master. Do whatever your master says, do as unto God. And those are the texts, the only texts that preachers let that the white folks let black preachers preach at first. When they found out what we really was setting up the black church for, which was the organized slave rebellion, they wouldn't allow black preachers to preach unless a white man was present. And he gave them the text. And he would read the text and they'd have to repeat the text. And the main text was slave, obey your master. All the texts around that. I have that in that book of God about my black man's destiny. I have a listing in there. And still today, a lot of Negro preachers can't preach without the white man present. He might not be there physically, but his picture there. And that's the authority they preach by, but they keep pointing to it. They keep pointing to this white man as the source of their authority. Don't they? In the baptismal pool, y'all spend all this money, build off these churches, but a white man picture there gives the credit. How are your children supposed to come up with any Sabbath? You know, they don't have the church, they're all crazy. They saw their parents acting crazy. I used to wonder as a child, I mean, full of black folks, but this is a white man. I couldn't logic it out for someone right. Someone right. In fact, my mind was so messed up. Remind me to get back to this, y'all. My mind was so messed up when I was 13 years old that I was talking to this young lady all my life. I was like that. I'm talking to this sister, and you know, I'm talking, I'm rapping, and she's exactly what I said. You know, and I'm getting over. And she's pretty fine, chocolate brown. And I mean, you know, it was gonna be a wonderful evening, you know, before we had to be back home. And I happened to look out of the side of my eye at this window of this cleaners owned by Sheikh Muhammad in Richard Allen City. Y'all call it Philadelphia, but it's Richard Allen City. At 24 that scared me. Because nothing in this world could get in my way there. But it stopped me from talking. I blew it. I ran home, I had to run 10 blocks. I was all out of my territory. I was always getting beat up for being in that territory. But where the girl looked is where I went. And I ran home. And I saw my grandmother when I raised. I said, Mom, what was wrong with you? Since you ran out now, what's wrong with you? Mama, I saw something. I saw the most awful thing I ever seen in my life. I said, well, what happened, boy? What is it? I said, I saw a picture of a big, ugly black man. And it said, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior on the bottom of it. Mama, why would somebody do something like that? And my mother sat me down. I'll never forget that. She used to be a fun man, and she was a sweet woman. She was a wonderful woman. And she sat me down and she said, son, think of where the man lived at. That was not white folks over there. He was a colored man. You know, he probably was a colored man. What was he looking at now? What white folks showed us. That was my first beginning to question and to search. And I thank my mama to this day for that. For beginning to open my eyes. But you see how much my head was? I'm scared to death to see a portrait of a black Messiah. And some of y'all are walking in now and say, who's that supposed to be? So John now, this book of Revelations was indeed written by John, is having a vision now. Well, we know what they say that he was in prison. He was on the Isle of Patmos, which was like being on Alcatraz at that time, bring it in today's terms. And he couldn't get the letters out to the church. He was, remember the book talks about he's sending it out, letters to the 7 churches. He had to put it out in code or sign language because the Romans were, what did they do with your mail now when it comes into prison? What did they call that? Censor. They would censor in the mail. So he went back in the book of Daniel that had all that symbology in it, and he used the visions out of Daniel and put it in the book of Revelation, and that's how he got it out to the churches in the code language that he wanted to. And as he was having this vision, this is the first thing that he saw of all of the images there while he was praying. He saw the Son of Man. That is a title that refers to king. It is an earthly title. It is not a title that means God. Because Ezekiel is called Son of Man in the book of Ezekiel. Son of Man, right. So it means you are a representative of man. It meant the chief representative. So he said, I saw the Messiah. Messiah meaning king. That's what it means. Anointed one, the king. I saw the king, the Son of Man, seven golden sticks, and I won't go 7 candlesticks. I won't go into the symbology of that. Wearing a golden girdle about his chest. That King James English is awful. Nobody knows what the hell Paps is. His chest. And he goes on to describe what he sees. He says, his head and his hair were like wool. Now I got to tell a story before I go to this. Y'all all right? I was leaving like a frog. I tell you, it is more than that on the table. So here today, I've just been beating all around trying to get so much in a short period of time. One time, I was working, I'll show you what it is. I'm working on this project now. This is the book that I'm trying to get finished. The Real Jesus Was a Black Man. And I went into Staples to get some copies done in color for the tape cutters and everything. And there was a brother from the continent working behind the counter. And when I put this on the counter, he said, oh. He was talking all right while I got there. In fact, when he's waiting on white folks, he sounded like one of them. But he got to study. It's true. What? Jesus to the black man. This is true. I said, yeah, it's true. Wait a minute. Wait, some white folks came up to the chapel. I'll be right with you, please, brother, don't go. So he had to get these white folks out of there first. Right? I went along with it. Because I know the psychosis that we are under. I know what we're going through. So he came back and he called another brother who was, come in. Did you know this? This brother happens to be a member of Imani Temple Archbishop Starling Church in Dr. City. Now, I ain't going to call that name. I don't call that name. Of that degenerate, evil, one of the worst creatures that ever lived. I call his name. We call it Dr. City. And he was a member of that church. He said, yeah, we know that. He said, we don't know about that in Africa. We don't know. He said, how do you know this? I said, well, the Bible says it is. He said, then he looked down at my business card and he saw Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango. This is what the man said. You must know because you're a doctor. I said, brother, it wouldn't make any difference if I didn't make it through grade school. It wouldn't stop reality. This is real. This got nothing to do with my degree. But since he accepted that, I paid it. But then the story doesn't end there. A lady comes up, an elderly lady, and I have respect for my elders. I do. I don't argue with my elders and everything. She sees this and she almost jumps completely across the room. She's got bated breath. She's wringing her hands. I mean, she's experienced a lot of anxiety. My heart goes out to her because I feel for her. She's having anxiety. What would do it? Why would you do that? Because it's real. Because it's historically real. It's the truth. And the Bible don't say nothing about no color. It's spiritual. It's spiritual. It ain't got nothing to do with color. I said, well, may I ask a few questions in all due respect? Are you a Christian? Yes, I'm born again and sanctified and washed in the blood. I said, when you go to your church, what image do they have of Jesus? She goes, well, I don't see that. It don't make no difference. I said, how can you not see it? But he didn't have no color. I said, does the Bible say he was born of a woman? That he walked among men, that they touched him, felt him, that he ate? That he even had to go to sleep. He was sleeping in the boat when the water came. So he was a human being that people could see and feel and touch. There has never been any human being on the earth that didn't have some color. All human beings have skin, and all skin got some color. Some don't, but 87% of the world people have color. 13% of the people don't have none. But so she said, but the Bible don't say. I said, you got your Bible with you? No. She said she was off the hook. Again, and I laid this text on her. Said his hair was like wool, as white as snow. Now, I have had white theologians debate me, which I love to do. I will tell you what I think of one white theologian. Well, wool, white, pure, it means it was pure. White, it was clean. That's what it means. I said, okay, let me ask you a few questions to make sure that we're communicating. Is this text written in the English language? Yes, it is indeed. Do you agree that Webster's dictionary is one of the definitive dictionaries, one of the most definitive dictionaries of English? Oh, yes, of course it is. Yes, indeed. I mean, they all agree among themselves as scholars. Do you agree that the Random House dictionary is even more advanced than Webster? Yes, indeed, they have made a lot of advancements.